And we are live. Hi,
Yay.
Pavy.
Hi. Hello.
Everyone, I am here with Pavy Olivarez in Los Angeles. Yes?
That's where I am. I'm in Koreatown.
I love LA. I loved living there. I think I must have lived there in a past life. It
Mhm.
was, and Koreatown was always so fun. How long have you been in Koreatown?
I've actually been here for about 4 months. But I've been in Los Angeles for like 12 years. Yeah. But
Wow.
4 months here and I love it. I finally have an apartment I really, really dig. I feel at home. I feel settled. I feel connected. So it's good.
Well, I like your all of your stuff behind you. You have your posters and
Oh, yeah.
little are those like the bobbleheads behind you?
Oh, oh, let's see. Those?
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, if you want, I can show you a
Yeah.
couple.
Yes.
I They're special to me actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because they're actually this is one of my favorites. They're Westworld ones. So this one's Dr. Ford.
No.
Yes. But all those are the pops that came out for Westworld.
I didn't even know
So
they did that.
yeah, they did. Yeah, so you know, I got some
Oh,
signed.
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Oh. That company is very cool. They make a lot of different interesting things that I didn't even like. I mean, I didn't even know that was the one, but like the Golden Girls ones and
Oh, I'm dying. I want to get some of the Golden Girls. I really, that's my next thing. And I want to get the Chia Pet with Sophia.
now if you were a Golden Girl, which one do you think you would be?
Oh, wow. I think most gay men have a little bit of all of them in there, inside them. But I would definitely have to say I identify with Blanche Devereaux. I'm very much a Blanche, and I think that all my friends would agree with that.
I love it so much.
Yeah,
I feel like oh gosh, I do think I'm a little bit of Dorothy and a little bit of Rose. If you can blend the two of them.
I think so.
I had more Blanche. It comes in pieces and usually with rum.
Yeah, yeah. I think Blanche kind of comes in, especially when you're single.
Exactly. Well, for everybody that's watching and that will join us later in the show, I wanted to kind of tell them about you a
Sure.
little bit. My student Griselda told me all about you whenever she was taking a class with me.
Hmm.
And I thought, how amazing to talk to somebody that's working constantly. And some of your credits, we were just talking about um, key hair for the LA unit for the movie Yesterday,
Yes,
which was super fun. Um, the head of hair for Sierra Burgess is a loser. That film was great.
it's such a cute film, isn't it?
Oh my God.
I
And
thought it was
Barbara.
adorable. It was like, oh, Barb. Yes.
Barb. Well, and I was like,
Yeah,
Barb gets to live again.
yeah, she does. She lives in many forms. I think she is uh was on Riverdale too, and then she has some other things coming up. But yeah, Shannon is really special girl. I loved her. She was just we connected a lot on that film, and it was really nice to kind of create this character, Sierra, which if you've seen the film, it's just really sweet to see this kind of blossoming
Yeah.
of like it's like a teen flick, but with a lot of heart. And I don't know, that was a fun one to do, fun create character to help create.
I'm going to come back to this film in a moment, but I want to talk about some of your other credits as well. One of them being Westworld, which I love,
Yeah,
and that you won an Emmy for on the hairstyling for that film. I mean, for that TV series,
yeah.
and that one is continuing, hopefully.
You mean, is there more seasons coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are more seasons, so I'm gonna flip this a little bit. That's because I feel like my eyeline is like down there. um Yeah, from what I understand, they do have like a few more seasons coming up that they're going to be shooting. I was really fortunate to be a part of the first two seasons, and there was the third season that came out last year, or this year rather.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first two seasons I was really very thankful and grateful to be a part of because, I mean, what a tremendous show, right?
Oh my gosh. It was so mind-blowing, and it's definitely not a show that you're like, well, I'll just put this on in the background and work on
No,
other things.
pay attention and you have to watch it. Well, I would say you have to watch it in order, but I would say you can actually watch it from the last episode to the first episode. It's one of those weird shows you start in the or start in the end and you can, but don't just like, oh, I'm gonna watch 3 episodes and be like, peace out. I don't get it. You have to get through it. Like the first 3, 4 episodes, you're like, what WTF? And then you're oh my God. And then things start to unfold and it's like all these layers. So I definitely was a fan when I was watching it. So I'm like, this is a really awesome show.
When I was looking at especially the first season, and they have, well, no, I guess going into the second season too, they have all of the robots in in the room, and they all have hair, and they're sitting still, and I assume some of them are actors standing there, and then some of them are
Dummies?
dummies, like mannequins. um, and all of that has to be styled as well, and is very specific to each of their characters. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there was like a few scenes where you see a mass amount of people who are in the Westworld garb. There certainly was quite a few actors, background players that were there, and we had a whole team. I mean, on any given day, you would have anywhere from 6 to 10 doing background hairstylists doing the background and making sure that they looked right. But there was some days where we had like 35, 40 hairstylists working. I mean, it was a massive show, and
wow.
a lot of the mannequins were styled, but it's like kind of not a huge amount of mannequins, because they would be used more for like deep background or if like someone's dead on the ground. I mean, you can't have a background player so long on the ground and like if people are stepping on him and stuff. I mean, unless someone's a glutton for punishment, then hey, that's on them. Yeah, lots of hairstylists, lots of styling, lots of hair.
Lots of hair. And
Mhm.
um the main character, oh gosh, what's her character name?
Dolores.
What is it?
Dolores.
Oh yes, Dolores. Her hair was so stunning throughout the whole series. I haven't caught up on season 3, but season 1 and
Totally.
2.
Season 3 is totally different.
Oh yes, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I have to do that.
Yeah. Season 3, I'll just say this. I mean, I didn't work on it, but I did watch it. It's a way different feeling than the first 2 seasons. I mean, I feel like each season has its own feeling, but I feel like the first 2 seasons kind of like commingled a lot and going back and forth in between, the different worlds and the different looks. But the third season's definitely very much present day, which is like 2065 or whatever, present day for the future in the story. So it's much more futuristic looking hair and futuristic looks. So you don't see as much of, the Westworld Dolores. You see her going on her own journey, but yeah, her hair was very classic and beautiful, like
Oh,
prairie girl. Yeah, it was very beautiful.
I
Lot
love it. I want to back up a little bit, because
yeah.
part of the fun of these interviews, I think, is I'm getting to talk to you guys, my colleagues, and you are really at the top of your game right now. You're working, you're doing amazing things, and so I'm always super interested in how you got there. Be-
Mm-hmm.
because I have a school, and they're usually people that are either working on their skills, or they're just starting out and they want to get there.
Sure.
And everybody's journey is so different. So I did a little research,
Oh.
and So I was reading about you and your love of styling Barbies.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And so I just wanted to talk about like when you were younger, like what kind of drew you to this industry and that follow through that happened.
Well, okay, let's take a trip. So, when I was younger, I actually got introduced to Barbies, and um I my first thing that I started with was like making Barbie clothing. So I would make
Oh.
shirts, dresses, um, like pants, and like all the sewing stuff because my mom was actually a seamstress, or so I learned how to sew from her. So I would practice sewing, with the Barbies, and then I'd start to style their hair, and like I had like a little collection of Barbies, and um, initially I wanted to be a fashion designer, so
Oh.
I've stuck to that kind of um, path a little bit up through high school, and then I started to get into like fashion magazines, and I would like look at fashion magazines and kind of flip through them, and I was into the fashion, but I was noticing my eyes was gravitating more towards the hair and makeup. And
Mhm.
then like it was like the 90s, so that was the pinnacle of like the supermodel. So
Yeah.
Evangelista, Naomi Campbell, all those girls. So I was like
Mhm.
seeing all these campaigns with them, and fashion stories, and I'm like, wow, like Linda Evangelista was like a big one because she looks different with every you could put any color on her, any hairstyle, any makeup, and she like rocks it. She looks phenomenal. And I was like, wow, like I want to,
Gorgeous.
yeah. And I'm like, I really want to do that. So I started dabbling. Like I got into my mom's makeup in high school. I started playing and painting my face. And, I would do my girlfriend in high school. Like I did, dances and stuff. So, you know, that's how I kind of got into makeup. I started in makeup. And then, let's see, trying to think. So then, I got into drag. So I did drag for quite some time. Um, and then one of my first like legit jobs that I had, two. Okay, so the first one I had was a freelance makeup artist in Bloomingdale's. So I was like
Phew.
selling cosmetics. I worked for Hard Candy, Too Faced, which back then all they had was like 3 lip gloss rings and 10 lipsticks and like 10 nail polishes, and I think 13. I mean, now they're like have everything. But that was like one of my first jobs was freelancing doing makeup. But then um, my first hair job I actually got was at Glamour Shots.
I have something for you.
Oh, what? Oh God.
It's in my mom's room, and I was like, I think I have.
Yes, yes, yes. Wait, let's see. Is it a leather jacket?
It's like a purple metallic pleather thing.
Very, very.
Look at the bang curl. Like,
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was like what was cool about Glamour Shots, and like just having conversations over the years with different colleagues and friends and stuff. They're like, "Oh, don't ever mention Glamour Shots." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like so proud that I worked
I
at
love them.
like Glamour Shots is the first time that I ever got introduced to hot rollers. It was the first time that I really learned how to use a curling iron, and like so I had a knack for it, so I would get into it. And when I was at Glamour Shots, it was like late was it late 90s? I think it was late 90s. It was still happening. So like,
Yeah, this
pinning
is
the
like 96.
yeah, like pinning the fabric was not happening anymore. The boas were kind of so. People were still doing the leather jackets, and they were doing colorized with the flowers. Like black and white and the flowers. Um yeah, all
Oh
uh
my God.
but
It's
yeah,
so good.
but I actually attribute like my first like tools was with Glamour Shots. So I learned, the power of hot rollers and like the volume you could create, and the curling, the shape, and uh, just like making the big hair and everything. So uh, after I worked there, I'm giving a history, right, of what I did.
I love it because I think that like I said, everybody's path is so different, and what kind of sparked those steps, the next steps.
Uh-huh.
When you look back on it, it's really interesting to see how you got to where you're going. So you
Yeah.
just keep going. I think it's great.
So after Glamour, I worked at Glamour Shots for a couple years, and then I got a position to work at Bloomingdale's in Fashion Island full time, where I was the new trends manager. So I was in charge of Too Faced, Urban Decay, Hard Candy, and there was like a couple other lines. But then they took those lines out, but then they brought in NARS, and that was the first time that I got introduced to NARS. And you know, as a makeup artist, like now and even back then, like one of like my staples, my kit is NARS.
Hmm.
NARS, Makeup Forever, and Laura Mercier. Those are like my trifecta. I feel like with those three lines, I could do anything on anybody, like makeup wise.
Yeah.
I became part of NARS, and I was the counter manager there in Newport Beach. And after that, I got stolen from Laura Mercier, and then I was a national artist for them. So, all my makeup training and hair training, I was not formally trained. I just a lot of it was practice. I really attribute a lot of my skill as far as makeup wise is concerned to working at the counter. I mean, I learned so much about being at the counter and dealing with different people and having interactions with different age groups, and different just people of different affluency, in Newport Beach there's lots of rich people, right? But then there would be people who would go there on the weekend, they just wanted to have fun and play with makeup. And I just really, it was a great experience to kind of transform different skin tones and different skin textures. And I learned a lot by just hands-on doing it with the counter. But I'm really fortunate that I got into makeup and really blossomed that way, because I got a taste of what it is like to work with people, like to deal with people on a more normal basis. So
Hmm.
I was just better equipped, I think. So fast forwarding to where I'm at now in TV and film, having that background, I feel like I'm able to manage how I am with people a lot better than, say, if I would have gotten into what I'm doing now when I'm younger and immature. I think it's like a whole um, journey that you have to kind of find your groove of how you are as a human being before your talent can really flourish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so, I went with Laura Mercier. I was traveling national artistry, and then 2008 hit, and or yeah, 2008, the economy, kind of crashed, right? So unfortunately, after a couple years of traveling, the United States, and I got to do some international travel, I got laid off. So that was a bummer. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, I'm working my way up. I'm gonna be, and all the while I was doing like, editorials here and there. So I had, like Marie Claire and like in style, like some magazines, like I had like tear sheets and like doing some editorial work. Some things were with Laura Mercier, some fashion shows. Got to do Fashion Week in New York, LA Fashion Week. So
Fun.
I was getting all these things like kind of under my belt as I was going along. And then the economy happened, like it crashed, and I'm like, oh shoot, what am I gonna do? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to cosmetology school. I'm gonna get my esthetician's license. I'm gonna go, do facials and do makeup, and that's gonna be my gig. And when I went to school, I went to Santa Monica College. Uh, I have to really put a shout out to them. If you want to learn a lot of things about hair. That place is great because the teachers were just so vast in their knowledge and so giving. And if you're receiving of it, you can really elevate your skill, like truly. Because I feel like I've always had like a little bit of a natural knack for things, but when I went there, there was a lot of refinement going on, and could have been because of my age too. Because like I was like 30, like yeah, what am I 40 now? 30. Yeah, I was like 30, 31, something like that. Um, but yeah, so well, let me back up. So I was going to get my esthetician's license, but because classes weren't available, I'm like, okay, let me just do the whole thing because I would style hair on the side. Like my main focus at that time was really trying to be a makeup artist. Like I was like, I'm gonna move to New York. I'm gonna be the next Kevin Aquan. Like this was my dream, right? I wanted to be
Yeah.
Kevin Aquan, and I believed it in my heart. I'm like, I can do this. Like it's like my gig. It's my zhuzh. I can do it. But I'm like, okay, well, let me just do the whole program, right? Let me just get my license. At least I'll have bases covered, and if something like this happens again, I can work in a salon. I can do, color services, cutting services, whatever. Like I have a backup plan. And then I I did the program. I got through it. One thing that was really cool while I was in school, so there was a couple competitions. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and when you go to beauty school, there's like different competitions that pop up. So there was two I'll talk about briefly. So one I did, um, it was a mannequin competition, and
Okay.
and a live model competition. So you basically had to take your live model and turn them into, someone famous or like emulate someone famous or whatnot. So I have my model Cindy, who is now a fellow 706 hairstylist with me. Shout out to my girl Cindy. Uh, so she has a lot of features like Madonna. So I had transformed her into Madonna basically, and this was around the time when Hung Up came out. So it was the dance floor, the Farrah flip kind of flip out hair. So I did the I can't even remember the name of that haircut, but the haircut where it's all pulled up here and you chop it. So I
Yep.
did that haircut and then I flipped her hair out, and so we did that competition, and oh, I gotta say I was a little upset. I was a little sad because we didn't place at all. And
Oh.
if you look, I think I have the pictures on my Facebook, and an album for the competition. But if you look and see the people who competed and the one who won, which I couldn't believe it. Like it was like a weird gothic teased out hairstyle that you couldn't even see the geometry of the haircut. It's just like teased out. Anyways, I'm not gonna be bitter. Um, so you know, we did that and I didn't place. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm not gonna do competition. I'm just here to like get my license and just, get through life. Then another competition came up and everybody's like, you should do it, you're so talented, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. It was called Junior Style Stars.
Oh.
So I don't know, have you heard of that one? But
Yeah.
yeah, so it was Junior Style Stars, and everybody got the same mannequin. Everybody was supposed to take the picture at J.C. Penney's or whatnot, but it was very fair. The competition was very like across the board fair. So I, did my hairstyle, did my competition, and you know, every couple of weeks they would update like who would make the next round. And so I kept making the rounds, and then it got down to like the top 20, and I was in it, and everybody's like, you're going to win. You're going to win. I'm like, I mean, we'll see, like, I'm like, cool. It'd be great if I won, but we'll see. So then we get down to the top 10. I'm still in the top 10. I'm like, oh my God, wow, this is cool. And then I get a call from the school, and I had graduated already. I had done my test. I passed it. Woohoo! Got my license. And they're like, "Oh, we want you to come back. They're doing this like this recognition for past students and this and that." So I
Mm-hmm.
up, and it was a bunch of people in a room, and like they were having a meeting and doing a recognition. I'm like, okay, cool, you know, and they're like, oh, you know, come, you know, the teachers want to talk to you in the school. So I'm like, okay. So me and one of the other students who got in the top 10, we were both there together and we were going, and she looked at me, she's like, I think one of us won. And you think? And so we go, they pull up the curtain, and there's Paul Berry, who is the creator of Junior Style Stars, with a big old check. And I'm like, with my name on it. I'm like, what? So that was like one of the highlights of, you know, my cosmetology career, because, you know, here I am going into school as a makeup artist, you know, who was kind of like moving up, thinking like, okay, I'm like heading up. I never had a feeling of like, I'm the best makeup artist, I'm this and that. I always was like, I do things with the intention of making a mark on this world. Like I want to make people feel good about how they look, and, you know, add to the story of whatever it is I'm doing. So, you know, to come from this place of like where I was moving up and I got knocked down because of, you know, the economy, and then kind of starting from ground zero, you know, like going essentially into a different career with hair, to have this happen was like,
It's a huge sense of validation.
absolutely. And I was so just grateful for the opportunity to do that competition, but then just like the confidence it instilled in me that, you know what, you have a lot of things to contribute to this world. And this is like something that tells you you're on the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I have I have the picture. Do you want to see?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah, so this is the winning hairstyle.
It's so finished.
Yeah, so it was like,
Look at that profile. Oh my God.
it was like a very you know, kind of like, what period? Like 40s.
Yeah, it is. It's
Prior.
kind of like late, early 40s to mid 40s. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's like one of my I actually still have the mannequin, but she's in the closet. And I've debated taking the hairstyle down and just using it to like kind of, you know, practice hairstyling, but someone said, "No, put her in a case." I'm like, "I'm not going to put her in a case." So she's in the closet. One of these days I'll take her out and pull her hair down and use it as practice, because the hair is beautiful on those mannequins. It was very beautiful. So yeah, so that was a really amazing thing that happened. And then so continuing with my journey. Um, so after that happened, which by the way, the price for Junior Style Stars, it was 50,000. And
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, so it's like I got like 5,000 cash, and then all these amazing prizes. Like I traveled to Puerto Rico, I traveled to Arizona, South Carolina, Arizona, Florida. I got to do all these hair shows. I was on stage, so I got to meet a lot of industry people. It was a really amazing experience at that time, and just like reaffirming I'm on the right path. Like this is what I should do. And then after that, I got to do a movie. Well, it was a short film. Like while this was happening, while I was in school, like I would still do freelancing here and there, and I would do photo shoots and little indie projects. But I got to do this one where I met uh, this makeup artist, Clexius Colby, really, really talented, amazing makeup artist. He brought me onto this film, and well, we worked together on it, on this little indie project. And he's like, "Hey, I'm going to be doing this film, and I need a hairstylist to be the department head." And I said, "Oh, okay, you know, sure, I'll do it." So I got to be a part of this film, and the reason why I mention it is because it was the very first film that I department headed. But uh, you know, if you're this is a total fate thing, because a lot of people say, you know, how do you get into TV and film? And, you know, there's so many different ways, right? So there's the 60-60-60, where you have to do a certain amount of hours within a certain amount of months and all that jazz. And then there's the other way, which is being grandfathered into the union. So
Yeah.
fortunately for me, this film, uh, it qualified me for the hours to join the union. So my first film, and I got in the union. So I mean, it was like one of those things where it's like fate. It's like, whoa, okay. And I didn't realize how lucky I was
So lucky.
until I started working, and then I would hear stories about how hard and how long people have been working to get in the union, and I'm like, wow, okay. I look back at it, and I'm like, I'm really fortunate that I had this opportunity to become, a hairstylist in 706, and from that point on, everything just kept going up and up, and I was working, meeting lots of amazing hairstylists, and getting to work on amazing shows, and here I am today. And the one thing I will say, uh, to anybody listening who is just starting out or who's on the journey, who is like, I don't know if this is for me, if I should continue, and also to the ones who think they are too good, never discount the opportunities that you can be a part of because you're not getting paid.
Mm.
I did a photo shoot 11 years ago with an actress for free. It was a test. She liked my hair and makeup so much, she had me come and do um, uh, like a little short series. And from that short series, I met the other actress in there who brought me on this little indie project in which I got to do Sandra O's hair. And the actress is Michelle Krusik. Now that project I did was where I met Klexius. And because I did those other things, I met Klexius. He brought me onto that film, and that film got me in the damn union. So you better believe I am so thankful for any opportunity that comes my way. I don't care what the rate is. I mean, nowadays I'm a little more selective because for me, I'm thinking of, okay, the rate, whatever, but I'm thinking of what's going to get me my insurance hours. Is
Hmm.
the project going to push me creatively? If I'm in a like right now we're coming out of this damn pandemic, thank god I've been working for the last couple months. I'm like, I'll take anything that comes my way. My savings is going down, so give me that money, honey.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but that's the thing I would say is like, don't frown upon opportunities. I mean, I think the best thing is you got to trust your gut about things and really tune into what the intention of the project is. Like, is it like someone who's really just like trying to use you, or if it's like someone who's like they need help and it could be something great and you could be a part of contributing to that. And all along, if you're starting out, these are the building blocks that will kind of shape you and refine you of what it's like to be on set one day when you're working with everybody who's at the top of their game. You need to have a sense of know-how, and you won't ever get that if you don't try things out. You got to work your way up.
Yeah, the working your way up, is echoed through so many artists that I talk to either on the show or just like in life. And the idea of kind of coming straight out of the gate from school and also being very young, so you just
Yeah.
don't have a lot of worldly experience yet.
Mm.
You can't buy that experience. You can't
Yeah.
by working 12 hours on a set and it's rainy but everybody has to look dry and
Mhm.
figuring it
Yeah.
out as you go.
Got to work it out.
um
Don't know unless you're in it.
yeah, absolutely. I was looking at through your Instagram feed the other day, which is absolutely beautiful, and I noticed a couple of things. One, there's a photographer.
Sequoia.
Yes, thank
Uh,
you. Like I wrote it down because what jumped out at me in your feed in particular, and now seeing that your shirt is very bold and striking, is the aesthetic
uh-huh.
that seems to be in your more recent work anyway is very bold, very stylized, very voluminous.
Uh-huh.
But also they're really clean. It's not just like teased big silhouettes. It's like
Yeah.
big and refined. Is this a place you kind of find yourself in recently, or have you always been attracted to that kind of graphic?
Um, I think that my tastes have always evolved, and they're always evolving. Like I don't live in one place. Like I'm very nomadic in how my mind thinks
Mhm.
as far as what I'm trying to create. And I mean, I will say that the thing that people probably what's the word that they kind of correlate me with is bigger hair and more refined hair, and something with a little bit of a vintage flair to it.
Mm.
Um, I think that especially over the last few years, I've been able to work on so many like period projects where I've gotten to travel from like, the 1880s to, you know, the 1920s, the 30s, the 40s, the 60s. I just did a film where we were in early 70s, and then, you know, having the sensibility of understanding that, you know, and this is like talking specifically about working on period projects is, if you have a show that's based on someone who is in the early 70s, like kids, right?
Mhm.
So it's going to look a certain way. It's, not really styled hair, it's like down, it's coming from the 60s, more relaxed. But then you have the parents, the mothers, the grandmothers, who you have to know they're not doing this relaxed thing. They're stuck, at a time
Mhm.
they felt they looked their best. And that's one thing that well, I don't know if everyone learns this, but I learned it, is that women and men tend to gravitate towards the style that they look the best in, and they keep with it. That's why you see some of these grandmothers who have hair that look like they're from the 80s now, where at the 80s you were seeing women who had hair from the 70s, 70s,
Mhm.
the women from the 60s, and so on and so forth. So having the love for period hair and understanding the different silhouettes of each period has really helped me kind of gravitate towards bringing this forefront in my work, like when I'm doing editorials or, tear sheets or just, fun photo shoots, that I always have some sort of a vintage flair to it, but I have a way of manipulating it and modernizing it, making it, not 100% in that period, but bringing it current. And one of the things that I think is helpful with that is just understanding like a barrel size and the curl size and what is going to give you that bend, the volume, how to, over direct your curl, and how to tease it back, how to tease it up, all that stuff. So when I'm refining the shape, it starts with your base. So I feel like bringing all that stuff together helps me create a silhouette. And with in response to the comment about the cleanliness and the refinement of my shape,
Mhm.
it comes from me wanting to see a pleasing silhouette
Yeah.
and wanting to see weird things sticking up, unless it's that kind of look. Because I certainly, if you see like my body of work, like I run the gamut. Like I can
Mhm.
someone look like a cracked out hooker on the street to like a high society refined, you know, 1940, you know, glamorous woman, and have it be the most, like, so I think for me, paying attention to what is needed, and having the conversations, just being in tune with what's needed, and like what's most aesthetically pleasing, and also that's not going to make me look like I don't know what I'm doing, because I try to pay attention to all these things.
Well, I think that's an important conversation too to have, regarding, you keyed and been the head of several departments, and looking at it from a standpoint of you are not your own entity
Mhm.
working on this project, of having to really listen to what the script is saying and what is the director saying and what is the costume designer thinking about, and having that ear of, it's not all about you, it's creating what is the most relevant piece of visual imagery to convey those things. I think is really important because, you know, for whatever reason, there's a statement or a belief that when you get into this industry, you are like this autonomous thing that you work on your own, and that is the furthest from the truth.
You know what? I have to say, and that is the biggest farce. You know, it's like when you get a part of this, and certainly there's many people I've come across with the ego, but the thing that I have come to discover is you're a sprog in the machine. You're just like a little piece of that machine. Everybody's a little piece of that machine. Even the actor's a little piece of that machine. Because the whole picture, that's the machine, right? So you're just part of making it work. And either you you do it and it works or you don't. And I find that the people who come from a place of thinking theirs is the most important part, that's when it doesn't translate. That's when I don't believe it. That's when I look on a screen and I see someone out of period, but then everybody else is in period. You have to be in tune with it. You have to pay attention. You have to connect with the other parts in the machine for it to work. And
Absolutely, and to keep working yourself.
yes,
You
yeah.
know, I think that's so great. I love it so much. Is there a certain time period that you? I'm a huge 40s girl. It is. I'm obsessed, and so because you do so many different periods, is there one that you have more of an affinity for?
You know, when you ask that question, the first thing that pops off in my head is 60s, just because I do like making big hair and I do like backcombing. I do like, you know, m- fucking up a curl and then reforming it. I do love that. So I would say 60s. But if you,
Early 60s.
yeah, early 60s. Um, I would say, like, if you would have asked me, if we would have had this chat like 6 months ago, I might have said the 30s. Because, you know, I got to work on Penny Dreadful, the City of Angels. And so we were in the late 30s, so it was like right on the cusp of, you know, like 37, 38. So
Yeah.
you know, like the the finger wave kind of look, but just a little bit more poofed out, you know, before the 40s, where, you know, the victory rolls and the half up and then the, you know, the sausage in the back and all that.
Hmm.
But i just I just love, i, I like, I think the thing that I love the most is just really forming the curl and breaking it up and reforming it into like the final shape. Just like any period that I have that I get to do that, I'm in heaven. Like I love doing that.
So satisfying.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I'll take that over beach waves any day. Like beach waves are like, whatever, you know. But that's the joke in the industry, right? Like, beach wave. Ugh.
Be like, oh, we're gonna have hair for this wedding, but everybody just wants dewy look and beach waves, and you're like, oh, okay.
You're like,
Yeah.
fun. Here you go. Pretty. It's pretty. I don't discount the look. I think it's a gorgeous look. I just think that it is a very achievable look by many people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, that is very
gotta
true.
say, and it looks good on a lot of people.
I have a very specific question about one of your looks in your Instagram. There is a mohawk in there that is epic in its proportions and in its stability. And I want to know what you used because looking at it, I was in awe.
Oh, that was camera tricks. Okay, so that was my best friend Philip. We've known each other since we were 14, and he actually recently shaved his head, so he doesn't have that hair anymore.
Wow.
I know. He had a Britney moment. It's going to do it to all of us during this time period.
I love that you've known him for so long, though. I have friends like that, and it makes my heart happy.
Years. Like, we came out to each other. Like, we're just like, we're thick as thieves. Yeah, so that mohawk. So what I did, what I did versus what I would have done had it been a real like shoot, because like he came to me like, well, we've talked, while he's had his long hair, and he's always like, oh, I want to do different styles with my hair, like, and one of the things that was on his bucket list was to do a mohawk. So I'm like, okay, let's do a mohawk. I mean, his hair was like down to like the top of his crack, his like really long hair, and he has like thick, coarse hair, like 3 hairs growing out of each pore. It's ridiculous, bitch. Um, so so what I wanted to do was create this mohawk, but I didn't want it to be so stuck that he'd be like, messing with it. Cause like he just literally wanted the picture, right? So I did a combination of got to be spray. I did um like a gel. I think it wasn't LA Looks. It was shoot. It was like a crew gel, like some stronghold gel. And then also Diva Curl stronghold spray.
Oh, yes.
The combination of that and got to be like I worked the gel in and I was combing it. I was hitting it with the blow dryer. So I was like doing these layers, blow dryer, layer, blow dryer, blow dryer. And I literally had his head like um on my ironing board, and I was like blowing it out straight, and I was like hitting it. So like I got the base done, and then I got the second part of it done, and then the last part of it done. So it stayed pretty erect, but then at one point it started to go.
That's the fight.
But what was funny is like he would do this with his head, and it would do this, shoot, and so it was just a timing with those pictures, to be honest with you. But if I was doing it for real, I would have done glue.
Mm.
Yeah, I would have done glue, Elmer's glue, and then got to be. Sorry, my cat's like rubbing up against the ears.
Oh, that's okay. I love kitty cats. It's all I have the dogs in the other room if anybody can hear them. Um, they know that you're doing stuff, so they're like, "Oh, let me come talk to you right now. It's fine."
Yeah.
I want to circle back to the Sierra Burgess blossoming film,
Oh, yeah.
and reading when I was doing my reading about you and kind of stalking you on the internet. Um, one of the things that you had said that was really beautiful was that you were kind of bullied a little bit growing up, and you blossomed into this amazingly beautiful person and colleague and technician and artist. And so I wanted to see what you would say to other kids that are out there like you, because when we're in high school, it feels like that is the whole world, right? Middle school and high school.
Yeah.
What would you say to those kids that are?
Ooh, well, I will say that, when I was growing up, when I was in high school, it was a different time. As someone, a decade prior to me would say, it's a different time. It's always a different time. It was difficult because, being bullied because you're effeminate, because you are into, quote unquote, girly things, because you're quote unquote gay or a fag or whatever. Um, it's difficult to take on when you're almost alone in the battle, like I felt like one of the only people who was out in high school. And, I've been fortunate over the years to come across people who have known me from high school and just, commended me on, who I was, because they said, because of you, I was able to come out. And these were like underclassmen that I had no idea. They're like, oh my God, it's you. Like I'll see them at a club or something or out, and oh my God, it's you. Like because of you, I wrote this essay and I was able to come out and
Interesting.
proud. And I want to say that the sooner you find who you are, the more strength there is in that to persevere through any of life's, tough times. Just, you have to find who you are. And it's not easy. You have to, you know, center yourself. You have to focus. You have to pay attention to the things that draw your attention, that pull your energy out, like in a good way, and allow that to happen and allow it to flourish, and to focus your energy on that, as opposed to energies that are trying to suck that out of you, that are trying to pull you down, that are trying to make you believe that you aren't anything but great. And when you decipher the difference of someone trying to tear you down versus someone trying to lift you up, that's the power that makes you the best you can be. And this is, I feel like it's a very mature thought, but you know nowadays these kids, they have so many resources to research things and to understand what that truly means, and to
Yeah.
like search for the things that inflames their passion, whether it's hair or makeup or wigs or fashion design, or you know being non-binary, or like whatever it may be. Like, find that and just like be in that moment and let it you know build you up, because the more happier you are with yourself, and the quicker you find that, the easier it is to get through the little earthquakes, because that's all they are. Is you know everything in life that's negative, they're just little earthquakes, just little things. They shake you up for a minute and then they're done, right?
It's
Yeah.
true. It is. Tori Amos was right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, Tori. Oh, great here. I love Tori.
Um, so I think that that's amazing, and I think that the kids today have so many more resources than we did, because I think we're the same age. The internet wasn't even a thing when we were in high school yet. Right, that's right. 27 and a half.
Yeah.
So they can find those resources even though they might physically not have somebody there. But I just thought that that was outstanding, and to see how far you come, that that you really harnessed that energy and was like, I'm doing this. I'm
Well,
I'm doing this.
it's hard. I mean, besides that, I mean, there's other things that I felt like, for instance, like I was living in a trailer on the street for a month with my family, and like I always grew up like with a thrifty mindset where, like you always buy the cheapest, you always, stock up on things. And like, growing up in a household where, my parents were like borderline, they kind of like were a little bit of hoardy-ish, because they had like a thrift store. And so they always had things around. And, I was always like an awkward kid growing up. And, I still have awkward moments, but it's finding these things and just kind of evolving from them, and realizing that nothing around you has the power to change you. You have the power to change you. So, if you want to succeed, if you want to grow in this life, it's on you to do it. You know what I mean? It's like you can have the same upbringing where, like, maybe like your brothers and sisters like go down a different path, and like maybe, they get into drugs or make bad choices or turn into like, like a felon or something. But you have the same upbringing, and it's up to you to like decipher, okay, what's right and what's wrong. What am I going to do? How am I going to better myself? And the opportunities are always there. You just have to look for them, and and not allow the darkness that surrounds you to encompass you, because no matter what, there's a star in the sky. The sky is black as night. There's always a star. You just have to look and you'll see it eventually. And when you find that light, You go to it, and then before you know it, it's daytime and you're out of it. And it's like, oh, it's light. Oh, I see everything now.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I have some kind of non sequitur questions for you, but that I love. If you were able to have dinner with 3 people, living or dead, that inspire you or that you want to talk to, who would you sit down and have a little dinner party with?
Wow. Let's see. Divine.
Love that.
Divine. Yeah, Divine would be one. She's for those of you who don't know who Divine is, she was a muse and famous drag queen, also known as the most beautiful woman in the world. She was in many John Waters films. She was a disco diva, just amazing, amazing drag performer. And I don't know, I've always been like um, kind of entranced by her and her life. And there's a great documentary called I Am Divine that talks about her. So, you know,
Oh,
if anyone wants to check that out, it's a really good um, insight of who she was as, Divine the drag persona versus Glenn the boy persona. And
yeah.
and actually, a little known fact about her is that she was slated to play Peggy Bundy's mother on
Married with Children?
Children, but the night before she was supposed to film, she passed away. Well, he passed away.
I did not know that.
That was going to be, Divine's like pathway into everybody's living room. So
Yeah, and pop culture mainstream.
yeah, but I would love to pick Divine's brain about things. Another person, living or dead. Um, ah, RuPaul. RuPaul.
How wonderful is
Just,
RuPaul?
I'm just curious to know what goes on in that brain with all these ideas about building this empire that he's built. I mean, talk about bringing drag into the mainstream. Like, wow. Um, so that's another one. Um, and then my mom.
Oh,
Yeah, my mom, unfortunately, she passed away quite a few years ago. She had cancer. And I think I would want to, have a dinner with her just because I would want to know her thoughts on what life has been like since she's been gone, and what she would tell me, like how she would guide me, because there's a lot of moments where I think about her and I'm just wonder what she would tell me, or you know like the night that I won the Emmy, how wonderful it would have been for her to be there. um but yeah, she was always very insightful, and she was very opinionated. She was an Aquarius, very artistic, but she always had something to say about something. And always had lots of great advice. And some things I didn't agree, but a lot of things made sense. And she was a very deep emotional person, and I think that's kind of where I get it from. But yeah, so those are my 3. So Divine, RuPaul, and my mama.
I think y'all would have a fantastic dinner party.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Do you have any projects coming up?
um let's see. Well, I did mention a little bit about the film. I did a film. I was a part of a film just recently. Uh, Paul Anderson. Wait, what is Paul West? No, I can't think of the director's name. Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson. So we just did a film. I was just doing background on that, but it was 1970s. So I don't know when that's going to come out, but I just was part of that, and we We just finished filming that, and we just started the second season of Dave. So, for those of you who don't know, Dave is on FX. The first season's available now on FX and Hulu. And that's a really fun one because, it's contemporary, it's
Yeah.
modern. Dave is awesome. He's like, for those who don't know, he's a Jewish rapper. great, great head of curly hair. I have a picture of him here. Look. So if you don't know, this is Dave.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's so great.
Yeah. So that show's hilarious. We just started filming the second season, and we're gonna start back again on December 2nd. So we got a few months on that. And I'm trying to think anything else. That's pretty much it. And then I've been doing some more photo shoots with Sequoia. So look out for some posts on Instagram for those. And yeah, that's what's been going on. And
Oh, I think that's
survive
amazing.
the pandemic.
And trying to survive a pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself, we're here and we're doing something fun and positive, and your work is stunning, and I'm so thankful that you agreed to talk with me and introduce you to people that might not know you and your work. And Griselda and Erin Marie Reyes said hello.
Oh, hey. Hey.
On the comments. I will definitely keep my eye on you, and hopefully I'll get to come out to LA once this is
Yeah,
all
definitely.
done, and I can give you a big hug and say hello for real. We'll go have
Love hugging.
our own dinner party. It'll be amazing.
Yeah, when everything's open, we'll go to somewhere really cute, maybe in Silver Lake.
Oh yes, that would be amazing. Oh, I'm so thankful for you, and I look forward to seeing everything that you do in 2021.
Mm.
And you have any parting words for everybody?
Oh, yeah. Get out of your head, stay creative, and make a mark on the world.
I love it. Right, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe. We're going to have more interviews coming up, and maybe we'll do a check-in with you next year and see how everything's going. And yeah, just subscribe and check out Pavy. Let me put your banner up one last time for everybody to check out your Instagram. Make sure you check out his IMDb. We only talked about a handful of credits that he's done, and oh, it was lovely.
It was thank you so much for having this time with me. This is great to have a chitty chat.
A chitty chat. All right, you take care and you stand by. Bye, everybody.
Okay, bye everybody.
It'll take a minute for them to for us to sign off.